Now, imagine this. You spend hours and hours, no, days and weeks, perfecting your UX writing portfolio. You've carefully selected your case studies, you polished every sentence, you double-checked the design and layout, all of that, right? And you feel ready to hit that send button for that application for your dream position. And then you're ready to receive that call from that hiring manager and get invited to start the application process. But all you get is silence. No email reply, no call, no nothing, until after a couple of weeks you get that textbook rejection email that says, hey, we moved forward with another candidate. So what happened? What do other candidates have that you don't? Well, the answer probably is a great portfolio. But what keeps you from having one? Let's talk about it. Hello everyone, my name is Kat and I teach people about writing in tech, and on this channel you will find everything that you need to know about UX writing. And if you want to learn more about all of that, make sure to hit subscribe and ring the bell. And if you want some in-depth UX writing knowledge or even earn a certificate, make sure you check out my UX writing online courses. They will give you profound and hands-on practical knowledge, for example, on how to build a proper UX writing portfolio. You can find them on writewithdrkat.com, and the link is also in the description box below. So let's talk about UX writing portfolios, and I think we can probably all agree that the current job market is specifically tough right now. There's a limited number of job openings, and that means that when you're applying, you really want to shoot your best shot, right? And of course, your portfolio plays a huge role in that. However, as you might know, I also conduct portfolio reviews, and I can say that many UX writers don't actually shoot their best shot. And usually this comes down to the same few mistakes which are repeated over and over again. So I thought it might be a good idea to share the top 5 mistakes that might be holding you back, and more importantly, how to fix them. So let's do this, and we will start with a tough one, and that is your UX copy simply isn't good enough. And as I said, I know this is a tough one, okay? And I know that hearing this can be hurtful and it can make us all a little reactive, but we need to talk about this, okay? And this is not about you not being a good UX writer. It's about you not knowing the formal rules of UX writing. So it's not about being, it's about not knowing, okay? So many people try to transition to UX writing thinking, hey, I'm a good writer, I did some copywriting or some blog writing on the side, and people say they like my writing style and I get positive feedback for it. And that kind of makes them think that they are naturally good UX writers and that they don't need to learn how this craft of writing actually works. But you do need to learn it, and when you have never learned it, experienced UX writers who might be part of the application process will be able to tell that. So basically, the first mistake that people make is they don't know enough about UX writing, and the copy in their portfolio reflects that. And that happens quite easily, right? As I said, some people have done a great job in other writing disciplines. Others have even worked as UX writers before, but they might have only worked with teams that are not capable of judging their UX writing either. So there's no real quality control here. And the result is that there are a lot of portfolios where the UX copy simply isn't strong, even if the examples come from real published products. And now you might be thinking, but I think my UX copy is just fine. It makes sense to me, and I'm a user as well. I can indeed judge whether my copy is good or bad. And to that, I'll say UX writing is a craft that follows clear rules, okay? It's not about whether you think it's okay. It's about whether it meets the quality criteria of good UX writing. Therefore, my advice is always have your portfolio reviewed by an experienced UX writer before sending it out. You don't need to use my service because my service is a paid service. You can also head over to ADP list or ask around in one of those Facebook groups. But whatever you do, make sure that whoever you ask is actually knowledgeable and experienced when it comes to UX writing, okay? So they can really help you. Now, the next mistake that I see quite often is you chose the wrong case studies or no case studies at all. Now, in your portfolio, you show case studies, right? And the purpose of a case study in your UX writing portfolio is to show how you solve problems and how you improve the user experience and the brand experience of your users with your writing. And for that, it should highlight your entire writing process, right? Including research, decisions, and results. It should also show how you collaborate with your team to achieve these outcomes. So it is supposed to show the reader much more than just the end result, just the copy itself. And that means, for example, that these typical UX writing challenges that you see on the internet don't actually make good case studies, simply because these text elements that you find there are isolated text elements. We have zero context on the brand or the target audience. And it also means that you should not include copywriting case studies or blog posts in your portfolio, simply because they don't show the reader how you solve problems and how you improve the user experience and the brand experience with your writing. And now you might be thinking, but what else can I do if I haven't worked on real-world UX writing projects? And to that I'll say, you don't need a certain institution like a boot camp or a UX writing challenge to give you fictional examples or flows for your UX writing portfolio. All the big brands have their products and their apps and their website and their software solutions out there. And I promise a lot of them don't have the perfect UX copy yet. Okay, they're desperately waiting for you to help them fix their words. And if you're unsure how to approach this, how to build a fictional case study, check out this video. The link is also in the description box below. The next thing is, and this is kind of a curious one, but it happens more often than not, and that is your UX copy isn't branded for the company that you write for. Now, what does that mean? Well, it means that there are several case studies in your portfolio where you wrote UX copy for different brands, but the UX copy in all of these case studies kind of sounds the same. You know, as if it was all for the same brand. And that's because either all the UX copy text elements in your case studies are dominated by your very own personal tone, or it just reflects the very generic, cheerful tone that is often used in all of these good UX writing examples that you find online, but that don't necessarily reflect how real UX copy actually sounds. And now you might be thinking, but good UX writing is just good UX writing, right? And you can't really show tone flexibility in microcopy. Like, good button text is just good button text. And to that I say, no. Or maybe yes and no. If the text elements that you chose for your portfolio don't properly represent your tone flexibility, choose different ones or add different ones on top of that show your tone flexibility. Maybe a 404 error message or an empty state, because these usually provide excellent opportunities to add some unique brand voice to your UX copy. But voice and tone flexibility is such an important, essential skill for a UX writer to have. You cannot miss the opportunity to showcase it. So my advice here is pay extra close attention to whether the entirety of your case study selection shows how flexible you are with your voice and tone. And if you only have case studies from a few brands or even just from one brand, show copy for different user flows, like a 404 error message and the setting screen. But this is something that experienced UX writers will definitely look for when going through your portfolio. Now, the next mistake, number 4, is a real classic, and that is your writing decisions aren't properly explained. And I think I probably mentioned this in all of my previous videos, saying I wrote this because it is more empathetic, or I wrote this because it is short, isn't properly explaining your writing decisions. Why is it not? Well, because it's vague and it leaves too much room for interpretation. And because who says that UX writing needs to be empathetic or short all the time? And now you might be thinking, well, what else should I say when explaining my writing decisions? And to that I say, what I recommend is you can use 3 different categories of arguments when defending or justifying your writing decisions. Number 1, user research. So you found out your users are extra insecure when making a payment. So that is when you give them extra clear instructions and explain each step of the way. And you don't assume it, okay? You have to have actual data. Number 2, the formal UX writing quality criteria. You will probably find different sets of quality criteria on the internet. I use necessary, clear, concise, useful, conversational, and branded. And number 3, the brand that you write for, which is extremely important when it comes to explaining the tone that you used. So those are the 3 categories that you should use to build the explanations of your writing decisions. And if there's a 4th great category system that comes to your mind, make sure to drop it in the comments. We're all here to live and learn, okay? And ultimately, mistake number 5 that I see a lot in portfolios is your portfolio has a poor design or layout. And that could mean that your portfolio is way too long in total, or it is packed with long walls of text, or the information that you want to present is not well organized and impossible to scan. Whatever it is, it just makes a bad first impression. And now you might be thinking, but I'm a writer, I'm not a designer. It is my writing skills that should count and not my design skills, right? So why does design even matter? And to that I say a poorly designed portfolio just means you probably struggle with prioritizing and structuring information, which are indeed critical skills for a UX writer, right? For us UX writers, it is important that we understand and cater to the needs of our target audience, our reader, that we help the reader to consume and comprehend the information that you want them to have, okay? And that, of course, also plays a big role when designing and creating your UX writing portfolio. So my advice here is, if you're not 100% confident in your design skills, that is okay. Try to see if you can have a designer, best a UX designer, look at your portfolio and give you advice on how to polish your portfolio before you send it out. And then you're good to go. In general, if you made some of these mistakes that I mentioned in this video while building your portfolio, don't you worry, okay? If you only had any idea of how badly I messed up all of these things back in the day when there were absolutely no resources available on how to build a UX writing portfolio, you would be rolling on the literal floor, okay? So making mistakes is normal. It is part of the way, it is part of the journey. So don't you ever worry about making mistakes, okay? And I think these are good words to end this video. I hope this video was helpful to you. If you have any further questions on the matter, let me know in the comments. Also, make sure to hit like and subscribe. Make sure you check out writewithdrkat.com, and also make sure you follow me on Instagram, where I post free tips and tricks about writing in tech and UX writing in particular. And other than that, there is nothing left to say for me except for, as always, keep on writing, enjoy the process, and I hope to see you sometime soon.